Yes, it's good to be alive once again on the clinic with Oluwatosin Oladimeji Ladipo. I feel so glad to be here once again. Last week was very, very inspiring. To the extent that we had to stop and beg our guests to please oblige us so that we can continue this week. And indeed, we are back again this week. Like I said, last week was highly inspiring, very insightful. Things we did not know were the things our guests told us last week. And I was really, really glad to bring her back again this week. And like we treated last week, we all know that the topic we treated was all about the period of professional establishment for our youth. And we said that most of the youths are really confused on what to do, how for them to be established in the area of professionalism. And that was the reason why we brought in our guest last week, and is a continuity of what we did last week. That is what we'll continue with this today. Yeah, that's what we're going to continue today. Like we said, is the period of professional establishment for the youth. Last week, we were able to establish some things because we divided the topic into two. The period of, and let me see, because I don't like saying things off so that I will not go off point. Please just hold on. Give me 1 second so that I will tell you the real thing we are able to do. Thank you. I'm almost there. Yes. Last week, we divided the topic section into two. The first one was about the pre-establishment, and the second one was about the period of getting established. So last week we treated the first one, which was the pre-establishment period, and this week we'll be treating the period of getting established. How the youth can really, really get established. That is what we'll be treating today. And we know who our guest is already because I introduced that to all of us last week, and I said, when I grow up, I really want to be like her. Hope you still want to know more about her. Let me introduce her once again before we go into the program properly. Now, who she is Mrs. Joan Oben. And who is Mrs. Joan Oben? Now, I want to read her profile. Just hold on a few seconds. Yes. Mrs. Joan Oben is an experienced senior business leader with over 18 years international experience in a range of business skills across oil and gas, financial services, manufacturing, and real estate sectors. She owns an MSc in Human Resources from the University of Manchester, England, a postgraduate diploma in counseling psychology from the university somewhere in Cameroon. That was what she told us last week, somewhere in Cameroon. Yes, that's who Mrs. Oben is. And she has a BSc in economics from the University of Port Harcourt, Nigeria. Her international work experience has taken her to several countries across West Africa, South Africa, Asian, Gulf region, and Europe. Spans mostly in all aspects of human resources, but also in career counseling, operational excellence, international mobility, service quality, continuous improvement, and customer excellence, amongst others. Our passion is in working with young people and nurturing the next generation. As she puts it, she has devoted herself to working with young adults in supporting them during those first critical career years when they establish themselves for the rest of their career years. She is a chartered member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development, that is CIPD, in the United Kingdom, and also of the CIPD in Nigeria. She is also a satisfied change practitioner, career counselor, and life coach. Mrs. Joan Oben is presently the chief of staff with Landway, a fast-growing, award-winning real estate company in Nigeria. That is who Mrs. Joan Oben is. And I know our viewers now know her now. For those who were not around last, that is who Mrs. Oben is. Now we said we are going to continue on the topic we started last week, the period of professional establishment for the youth. And we said that last week the topic was divided into two. And last week we were able to treat the pre-establishment period. And today is the is the period of getting established. That is what we're treating this week. Now, our first question, before the first question, now let me welcome her properly. Mrs. Obe.
Yay!
You're welcome, ma.
Thank you.
You're,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome. Yes, ma. How are you today?
I'm
Are you
fine.
good?
It's been a wet day in Lagos, so it's not as hot as it typically is. So it's good. It's good.
Wow. And you're looking very good, really. You're really
Thank
looking very
you.
good.
Thank you. Thank you. I do feel good.
You're welcome. All right, then. Thank you so much. Now, our first question to you today on the period of getting established. Yes, our first question to you today is, what skills do employers look for in graduates? What skills do they look for, the employers look for in graduates?
Okay.
Are there
So
skills they look for?
yes. So you always make me laugh. But
Okay.
yes. Before I go into that question, I wanted to add a caveat to something that we mentioned last week. Remember last week when we were talking about the resumes? We did
Yes.
say that, um, that there was no need for people to put in their local government and state and all of those kind of things in their
Religion.
religion or nursery school when you have a PhD and all of that, right? So, with specific reference to local government area and state, I wanted to make sure that those who are applying for government jobs do not get confused. So, if you're applying for a government job, whether it's federal government or state government or local government, that is a requirement. You need to state what state you are come from. So no confusion
Okay.
between if you're applying for a government job and if you're applying in the private sector. The private sector does not need all of that information. The government sector does, so that people don't get confused.
Okay.
So I just wanted to clear
Okay.
that.
Thank you very.
Okay,
All right.
right.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Okay.
Okay, so you're now in a job and you're trying to get established and you're thinking what do employers look for in a graduate? Now, because this is your first job, or maybe it's your second, and the first job was very short. I think graduates really should cut themselves some slack. And this is because most of the skills that the employer is looking for, they're not technical skills. The technical skills you will be
Hmm.
taught. Technical skills that you need for the role will be taught to you because really you're very green. All the whatever you know is very academic and not yet hands-on and practical. And so for the most part,
Hmm.
what the employer is looking for is non-technical, and that makes it easier for you. So the first one for me, which I think is one of the big ones, is communication, right? Whether it's
Hmm.
verbal communication, whether it's non-verbal communication, whether it's emotion control, how you control your emotions in the workplace, whether it's stress management, how you manage your stress levels in the workplace, whether it's active listening, so you how much of instructions you actually get when you get instructions because you're listening actively or not, as the case may be. That's all around communication. That's a big one that employers are looking for. Another one is critical thinking, which is a big problem, especially in our environment. People
Hmm.
generally do not have stopped thinking critically. Um, and there's a lot of conspiracy theories and a lot of religion-based thinking. A lot of magic and God forbid, and by the grace of God, that kind of thing, Whereas, we can be curious about what the problem is, do some research, identify what the biases are, make inferences, and determine what the relevance is to the problem that we're trying to solve, rather than just putting it down to the devil or God, right? So critical thinking is a
Hmm.
good. Emotional intelligence is another one. Having an awareness of yourself, how I am, how I manage myself, the boundaries that I set for myself, knowing my strengths and my weaknesses. Focus. Graduates have a lot of challenges with focus because they're coming from a very liberal world, before they come to the workplace, so they tend to be quite distracted with a lot of things. So focus and self-motivation is another thing. Another one is service orientation, is what I will call it. So the opposite of that is an entitlement mentality, right? What have you done for me lately? Graduates tend to come into the workplace with, I got a first class in my school, I have all the answers, and sometimes they don't. So they come into the workplace with that kind of mentality, not ready to serve and help out and show empathy with others. Because you're in a learning phase, you're just starting your career. Everything you are going to know, you have to learn. So if you are Mr. Know-it-all, then you won't learn very much. So it's important to have a self orientation. When you serve, then you learn. And then, without overflogging the question, I will add flexibility and versatility. And this is because as a graduate, you'll probably more than likely be shuffled around from task to task. Yeah. So anything thing that needs to be done, the person that will be called upon more than likely will be you. And that's because you're the new kid on the block, right? So you have to be ready to be flexible, to take on odd jobs, as the case may be, around the office. And just fit in as much as you can with that flexibility and versatility. So communication, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, service orientation, and some flexibility and versatility as you join the workplace. I think that would go very good.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Owens. Thank you so much. I'm actually learning. Like I said, I've learned so much from you last week, and as you're talking, I'm still learning. You can see I'm really jotting things down. It's the truth. Because the reason why for others to learn, so why you are making others to learn as well. And that is what I'm doing today. Thank you so much, Mrs. Obe. Sincerely, I have learned some things now about critical thinking, and what other thing I learned about
Service orientation?
not even service orientation, something mentality. Yeah, I add first class, I don't have to do
Yeah,
other things, I don't have to help out,
absolutely. Entitlement.
Yes,
Entitlement.
entitlement mentality. And that is what most of us even do. We feel that we are too much. And we might not know that the little things, the little sacrifices we're doing is even paying off. Do you understand? That maybe that's
Yeah.
what they might even see in you. So even bring about promotion, who knows? Well, me, I'm learning too. I'm really learning. Thank you so much, Mrs. Oben. Now, our next question to you now is, what should freshers expect in their first graduate job?
Let me take it from the one that I mentioned in the last question. Expect to be shuffled around, right? All
Okay.
the odd jobs in the office, that's what they're likely to do. It's you'll be very lucky if you go straight into a professional job where you are the decision maker and all of that. It doesn't quite happen in the first job, I think. So have some flexibility and versatility around that. Expect to be shuffled around. The next one is, don't expect to be paid a huge sum of money. You are a very lucky graduate if your first job pays you tons and tons of money, right? So typically you start at the bottom and then you work your way up. That's how it normally goes. And the reason is simple. To be fair, you are doing more learning than you are contributing at that stage in time, right? So it makes sense that you won't be paid too much money than people who have been there ahead of you. You also, like I said, shuffled around, so you won't get the strategic tasks or projects because you don't have the skills to handle them just yet. It's not to say that you won't get to that point, you will. But most of your roles at that point in time will be operational, maybe tactical if you're lucky, but not strategic. You won't be the decision maker. You won't be the one signing on the dotted lines for things like that. So sometimes the mind shift, because we come out of school all excited, ready to if you like, win the world, right? We are ready to win the whole world because we've learned all these things in school and we are ready to go. But it's baby steps, little at a time. And then professionalism is key. make the transition very quickly from college life, university life to office. It's two very different things. The way you dress, the way you talk, the way you engage with people. It's a protocol hierarchy atmosphere, even in the liberal arts, even if you are in brand management or something, there's a certain level of protocol around how you communicate and how you dress and how you engage that is different from the university life. So it's important to make that transition very quickly. So irrespective, the first graduate should not treat their first year in work like an extension of the NYSC period, right? So the NYSC is typically a very easygoing year, and it's important for us to make the mindset and understand that NYSC is over and now it is the real deal, and take it as seriously as possible. The faster you do that, the
Better for
better.
you. Thank you so much, ma. Somebody is actually hailing you. She said, my coach, Majuan. Her name is Chinenye, Chinenye
Yes,
Nwakwe,
yes.
Nwakwe.
A,
Yes,
a
she's
big shout
hailing
out
you.
to you. Yeah, yes, she's my little girl. She's doing well
All
now.
right.
She's
I'm sure she can hear you because she's on now. Now, our next question to you, Mrs. Juan, is what skills are required to enhance a smooth transition from school life to the world of work for newly employed graduates?
uh-huh. Work work life integration. I don't want to say work life balance because these days it's tough to balance it. I would say work life integration. So if you take the typical day, the 24-hour day, for example, is meant to be 8 hours for work, 8 hours for sleep, and 8 hours for yourself. That's how it's meant to be, right?
8 hours for
Um,
work, 8 hours for sleep, and 8 hours for yourself.
for yourself, yes, that's how it's meant to be, right? So how you combine all of those. Of course, the minute you start working, and depending on where you live and how long you are commuting, the 8 hours for work can stretch into 12 hours, right? So, which means
Mhm.
that you need to find a way of making the remaining 12 hours split between sleep and yourself. So, that integration, especially when you're coming from NYSC or maybe some other job that was not so formal, those habits that you keep. Remember, you're now working, you're now earning some money. So there's some excitement around this extra wallet that you have. So late nights, and some habits that you pick up now because you're in an official environment can impede that work-life integration. So that's something to watch very carefully. Ensure that as much as you are spending time outside work, you are also devoting as much time to work because that's what pays for the life after work, isn't it?
That's it. That's it, really.
Yeah,
Really.
yes. Okay. Then the second one is your professional profile. Remember, you're no longer a university graduate, right? So now you're a grown ass man, if I put it like that, or woman, right? You're now in a full-time job. So your profile, your online profile, your footprints has to change from this Gayo or Chiquito to a professional person online. So get active on LinkedIn if you are not active yet. Cultivate some professional networks. So people in your line of work, people in your office, other people who work in the same industry as you do, and things like that. So change your profile from school leaver to professional and start acting the part. It's very important to make that
Hmm.
transition. Right. So you also start networking with some recruiters because your first job will not be your last one, right? So you're building up your profile, you're talking to people in your field, you're making sure that you know recruiters in your area, whether you are emailing them on LinkedIn or you are talking to them because they are in your network. Make sure that you are connecting professionally with people.
Hmm.
Financial services is another good one because now there's all this extra money in your wallet that you didn't have a couple of months ago.
Hmm.
So the earlier you start being financial savvy, the better. Because once you pick up these terrible habits, before you know it, it's 5 years, 6 years down the road, and you could have done something so much more worthwhile with the same amount of money. So this huge salary paycheck can be used wisely if there is some financial savviness around. So important not to get too excited. Make a budget, figure out how much of your disposable income you really need, and put the rest to work for you. It's never too early to be financially savvy. Never too early. Another one is market intelligence. Related to networking, also you need to be aware of what's going on around you, especially in the industry that you are working, because that's what is that knowledge that enables you to make decisions as to when you're making your move, when you're making your next move to your next job. What's going on in your world? Should you change now? Is the industry that you are going to facing a headwind, for example? And then you can start, because you have that awareness, start making some very important decisions. And more lastly, I would say stay true to your values and your motivators in life. You don't become a different person because you're not working. Your friends will not change, your family will not change. You will instead should acquire new friends in your new place of work. So essentially, as a human being, you do not change or should not change. And so stay true to those values and motivators that have kept you going so long. And that should be the way it should be. You should be okay if you do that. Is what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Oben. I'm learning. I don't know. I am learning. Your friends shouldn't change. Your family cannot even change, really. Anyway, your family cannot change. But no, these are my family. They can't change. But friends, your friends should not change. I'm putting a hold on that. Your friends should not change because you feel you are financially empowered now. Your
Yeah.
friends shouldn't change. Hmm, that's wisdom. Thank you so much, ma. It's really loaded. There's so much of
It-
that. Thank you.
yeah. The best
Yeah,
friends are the friends that you have for life.
that is it. That is just it. That is it. Thank you so much, ma. Thank you. Somebody is even still ailing you. Glamour, and that is Kike Alomo Bamidele. Now to our next question. Kike Alomo is saying hello to you too. Now our next question is, are there factors responsible for the challenges faced by newly employed graduates? I guess you just
Yeah.
said some of them now.
Yes, exactly. We just touched on some of them. We just touched on some of them.
Yes.
The first one is the financial pressure, right? So so you've it's not cheap to go to school. And some people are sponsored, right? So you've come out with your first degree or your master's, and your family entered into significant financial expenditure to make that happen. So there's some debt to pay, and the graduates will feel under pressure immediately to start paying back some of that debt, right?
Mm,
Or if not, if there's no previous debt, then they create new ones by their habits.
that's
They
true.
have that they engage in, yeah. And so the whole pressure now to belong to this new crop can create a financial pressure. The the lifestyle adjustments, the expectations around their jobs. Remember, when you were a schoolboy or a university boy, you had some support. You visit an uncle or an aunt, or your parents supported you. Once you start working, it all falls away. It all falls away. It does. It all falls away. Everybody expects you to be independent now. And sometimes work takes you away from your network or your the people who support you. So maybe you have relocated to another city or another town where you previously were supported. So that adjustments, social adjustment, financial adjustment, support adjustment that you have to make because you're now isolated from your support group before can create some conflicts for graduates. Let me see. The job in itself can create conflicts for our graduates. They have to adjust to a new job. They feel the pressure to deliver on their new jobs. So they're balancing between the social life and delivering on the job that they've just taken on. Remember, they came in all entitled and, oh, I can deliver and I know it all, and now they need to prove it. So sometimes that can create some challenges for our graduates. Our culture also sometimes makes demands on our graduates, right? So excessive demands from the family, sometimes warranted, sometimes not. Sometimes the graduates who put this on top of on themselves. So now I can support 25 people because now I'm earning some money. So I'm paying fees for this and I'm paying fees for that. So be careful how much responsibility you take on in the name of I'm now working and I can help, because the period of adjustment is continuous. So we have to be careful how much demand we place on these young people who are still trying to adjust to their new life. So you must pace yourself according to your own personal circumstances. That your colleague is able to do so much may not mean he may have a different personal circumstance from yours. So make sure that you pace yourself. Moving into a professional role can also be accomplished by staying open to change and embracing new opportunities. Remember, if your experience is not the best, it doesn't mean that your life has come to an end. You can always change jobs and make the best of it once that change happens. But watch out for financial pressure, watch out for lifestyle adjustments, watch out for excessive demands from family as you take on this new challenge, is what I would say.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Oben. Thank you. Now, our next question to you is, what should be the motive to work for any newly employed graduate? The motive to work is the motive to impress, is the motive, like you said, entitlement mentality. So, what should be the motive to work?
Two very broad buckets for me. One, career. Two, money. That's, I think it boils down to that. And this cuts across whether you are employed or self-employed. The ultimate goal is to grow in your career or to make some money. Yeah, in my view, that should be the first motive. That really should be learning new things, acquiring new skills, building a network of professionals, growing your competencies, because you need those competencies to climb the ladder, influencing, negotiating, those kind of skills. We've spoken about them last week, learning the ropes of the corporate world. That's why I think organizations that offer training and development in social and technical skills is what graduates are looking for today. I think they're quite savvy in that sense, that they know that this is where they should be investing their time, because this is what will help them to grow in their career. And remuneration, of course, we all want to work for money. It's either you're working for yourself or you're working for somebody else. It's all about making money. So while this shouldn't be the primary motive for work, because money is very transient, right? If you make so much money and you're not growing in skills and competencies, then the next role is at risk. Let me put it that way. So it's important that you know what the going rate for your chosen profession is. That way you don't get cheated of a decent wage, and it's important to seek the right remuneration. And I also want to add that if graduates are interested in becoming entrepreneurs, that is happening more so now than ever. It's good to see that graduates are not phased about going into entrepreneurship. It wasn't the case 25 days ago. It used to be that only very few people went the entrepreneurial way. But I see young people today very ambitious about going into entrepreneurial 3-4 years experience, and they're happy to look around them and try to solve the problems in their community from an entrepreneurial standpoint. So that's a good thing to see.
Thank you so much, Mr. Do you know what I was thinking now? We're talking about youth these days, they're not even probably afraid to go into entrepreneurship. And what came to me, I was just thinking, what is the fear there? Is it the fear of money or what? Because I was thinking of myself immediately I left school. I never looked for a job at all. I never did. This is what I want to do. I've always told myself, and people have always known that I'm not the
Yeah.
9 5 to whatever hours they call it. That is not me. And I went straight into business, and that was what I was doing. And I was really enjoying it because I know I will not fit in into that. That is not me, really. Do you understand? That was what I kept doing till I left Nigeria. Do you understand? So when I see people, in fact, I even encourage people, think of what you can do. Don't think of going to go and look for a job. Just think of what you can do. And you know, I was already not even ask me, is it not money? Is it? Most of them don't even think of that. Unlike them, that is, people will be thinking of, do I need money to start? Do I need this one to do this? Do I need that one to do that? Do you understand? Maybe that is what is good about this generation. I like that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
And they should be encouraged. They really should be encouraged.
Yes,
no fear of failure. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. No fear of failure. That's another thing. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, another question for you. Would you advise no graduate to take a gap year before getting employed?
Gap year. I think the word gap year means different things in different environments, right?
Okay.
So there's no straight yes or no answer to this gap question. Should I take I'll define the gap year as at the time you take off to find purpose in your life. That's how I would define it, very loosely, like that. In most parts of the world, that year is taken straight after high school before you go into university. Right. When we talk about gap year in Nigeria, I think we are referring to the time between after the first degree, when you're trying to decide what should I do next. So it's slightly different. And these days, sometimes you technically go into a gap period anyway if you leave school and you can find a job. So you're in a gap period. So it may not have been intended or planned, but there you are. You have a gap, right? Because you spend 18 months or so looking for a job. So there's no right or wrong in my book around gap years. On the one hand, this time off, it can help you mature. You can become a more confident person. You take a break from school to figure out what should I study next for my master's. You meet new people. You create a new network. But it can also have its cons, right? So if, for example, work takes over, if you get a job and work takes over, or life takes over, right? Marriage, children, that's it. You might never get to that second degree. For example, by the time I got my master's, I was 50. So if that gap period gets extended, you might never get back to that second degree, for example. And if the gap becomes quite long, it creates also a gap in your resume that you need to start explaining at interviews. What happened between this year and this year? We see 18 months here that nothing was happening. That's a gap. And also, if it's a period where you are not working at all, it's a financial strain. So maybe if you are going to be under financial strain, maybe it's not very smart to take a gap. However, for me, what is key is planning around it. If you're comfortable financially, by all means, take a gap year. It's a good period to explore the world and learn new things before you come back, making sure that you come back. So whether it's intentional or forced by circumstances, whatever you choose to do with this period, plan it so that you can use it what's the word I'm looking for, so that you can use it in a good way,
Wisely.
so that you can use it wisely. I like that word. So that you can use it wisely, right? So that you can use it wisely. So that it doesn't become a year or two that nothing happened in your life and you gain no knowledge at all. Okay? Even if it's cooking skills, even if it's language skills, do something with it. Let it not come and go like that without you having learned anything.
Hmm. Thank you so much, ma. Well, let me just quickly deviate a little, just a little. She said she got a master's at the age of 50. You know,
Correct.
I wasn't wrong when I kept saying that when I grew up, I want to be like you. Really? Can you believe that she's 50? Can you believe she doesn't look 50 and she's over 50 years? She's over 50 years, but she doesn't look that age. Really. Thank you. She's looking beautiful anyway. But that I said I wanted to deviate, really.
You're too
I just
kind.
said I wanted to deviate, but you're looking good, just to compliment you, really. Thank you.
Oh,
You're doing well for yourself and you're doing well in every facet of life. And people like us really still want to emulate people like you. You know, success is good to know people who are successful and want to be like them. And that's what I'm doing now. Thank you, ma. Now back to our questions so that our guests will not be wondering what is happening. Now back to our next question is, what things should new graduates do to plan their career?
yes, I get this question a lot, and I've helped quite a few people around this question. So it's very clear in my mind what people should be doing once they get that first job. People think that you have to be 6 years, 7 years into a career before you start planning it. No, you can start planning it from that very first job. The first thing I would say is have a long-term view or a long-term version. And when I say long-term, I don't mean 25 years. I mean like 10 years. So you get a job today, right? 2021. So have a vision for 2021 to 2031. So that's a 10-year period, right? So have an end game for the first 10 years. So in 10 years, I want to be a brand manager, or in 10 years, I want to have transitioned to self-employment, or in 10 years, I want to have been a financial controller, or in 10 years, I want to have been a HR business partner. Have a target for that period. Once you have a target, then the next step is, who are the people who look like this target? What does a financial controller look like today? What does a brand manager look like? What skills and competencies, what experiences do they have today that I need to acquire in order for me to make that target in the next 10 years? Who are people who I know around my network who are currently in this role that I can begin to talk to? That's step two. Step three is now the action plan. So I know my vision now. I know that I want to be a, let's say, financial controller in 10 years. I know people around me who are financial controllers who are currently in that role. That's what they are doing. I can see their profile. Maybe they are chartered. Maybe they have some skills and competencies in some other financial related areas. All of those things, I have that picture in my mind. What do I do? I now start planning. How do I go from where I am in 2021 to where I want to be in 2031? And I can take it in little chunks of 2 years, have milestones. So every 2 years, in 2 years' time, I needed to have moved from maybe accounts payable to senior accounts payable. In another 2 years, I needed to have moved from that to the next level, maybe in another 2 years. So you set milestones every period in this 10-year vision that you have. Once you see that, then you can go back and check. Every 2 years, you can go back and check to say, am I on the path? Am I behind? Am I ahead of my target? That's how you put an action plan. And if I'm behind, what do I need to do to catch up? And if I'm ahead, great. What else can I be doing? And then be careful also to this is step 4 now. Be careful also to make adjustments, because like we always say, life happens, right? Things
Mm.
may change. your interest may change. You might decide, hang on, this financial controller thing, I'm not sure I want to do it again. Some other fancy career may come up in 5 years' time. While on your 10-year plan, something else comes up and you think, whoa, that looks nice. I can do that. And you want to try that. So make the adjustments where you need to make the adjustments. Reevaluate this vision, 10-year vision that you have. If some short-term opportunities come in, recognize them for what they are. They are short-term. There was an opportunity to learn something new or to work with somebody strategic, but it doesn't derail you from your 10-year vision plan. And then the last one I will say is share your plan with a mentor. This document that we have of the vision, of what the person looks like, of the action plan, of the adjustments, is not a secret service document. Don't keep it to yourself, right? And nobody else knows about it. Share it with your trusted friends, your trusted colleagues. Let people know what it is that you are planning, because they can contribute towards it. They can, if somebody has been on that career path before, they can tell you how they went about it. And people also know you, they see where you are growing. They can tell you, oh, you have changed. Now we see that you are so much more emotionally intelligent now than you were 2 years ago. That validates the work that you are doing. And that also helps you to know that, okay, I'm doing well in this area, but I need to do more in this other area. It's only by speaking with people who know you well that you can validate your areas of continuous improvement. So I repeat them. Have a vision, know what it looks like, have an action plan, make adjustments where you need to, and share. Share. It's not a secret document. You don't keep it to yourself. Share with others so that they can improve it for you.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you. People have been saying highly educative. Great job, man. Wow, this is eye-opener. Indeed, it is. And I'm learning, like I said, too. Somebody asked a question, but before I ask the question, let me quickly brush through our own questions. We have, I think, 3 or 4 more. What thing should new? Okay, we just stated that. The next question is, how important are mentors to new entrants in the corporate world?
In my view, mentorship is probably the most underrated aspect of searching for a job or building the foundations of your career. I knew that I got my first mentor very, very late in my career, and I think that probably I would have done better if I had gotten one earlier. So I suggest to people to get a mentor as quickly as they possibly can, possibly even before you enter into your first job. They are a very important part of personal and professional development, not just professional development, also personal development. They guide you through when you need somebody to point you in the right direction. They are people who are enthusiastic. They enjoy the role that they play helping people achieve their goals, like I enjoy helping young people. So if you are lucky to have a mentor like that, the guidance that you receive from a mentor is invaluable. Honestly, it's invaluable. And it helps you to navigate the unknown parts of your position, and they help you to reach your goals quicker because they have traveled that path already. So find a mentor as quickly as you can. If your mentor is willing to share, not everybody shares. If your mentor is willing to share and has achieved a certain level of success, somebody whom you respect, and you see and vision yourself to attain the same level of success, please find one as quickly as possible. What I would say is that the error that I find is that most mentees are looking to the mentor to drive the relationship. That's what typically happens. So you find a mentor and you say, yes, Joan is my mentor, and you go back into your house and you sit there and you lock the door. And Joan is supposed to drive the relationship. It doesn't work like that. It's usually the other way around. The mentee sets the agenda. The mentee reaches out. The mentee keeps up the momentum. The relationship will go as quickly as the mentee drives it or as slow as the mentee wants it. Remember, it's your agenda. It's not the mentor's agenda. So some people like it nice and slow. They want to meet maybe once a month. And so the mentor will go with that. Some people are more aggressive and they want a weekly engagement, and the mentor will oblige. So to get the best out of a relationship, the mentee needs to always remember that they are the ones in the driver's seat, not the other way around.
Hmm. Thank you so much. And would you like to be my mentor? You're laughing. You see, anytime I ask people to be my mentor, the first thing they tell me is just the same way you just did. And the next thing I we heard is that say, we cannot be your mentor. You should be mentoring people. And I'll be wondering, does that mean I don't need a mentor? And that has always
Everybody,
been the case. That is
everybody does.
always been the case, and I wonder why it's like that, sincerely. Anyway, let's move on. We talk later. You be my mentor, sincerely, whether you like it or not. You be my you be my mentor. Yes. Our next question is reading for self-development better than following a mentor?
I don't think that they are mutually exclusive. Why
Okay.
why should it be one or the other when you can have both, right? So self-development means that you are not just reading, you are also learning in other ways. Maybe you're
That's true.
learning on the job, maybe you're taking a few additional courses, maybe you're listening to TED Talks or podcasts. They're all different types of structured self-development. Having a mentor is also self-development. It's just a guided type of
That's
self-development,
true.
right? So the mentor guides you, whereas other types of self-development are very unstructured. So someone who has traveled the path before can guide you through the right direction as a mentor, but as a different way. Both are different ways of self-development. So I don't think it should be one or the other. I think if you can have both, you should have both. However, what I can say is that if you had to choose between having a mentor and having a sponsor,
Hmm.
ideally, an ideal world, you should have both. But if you cannot and you had to choose between the two, I would say that it's better to have a sponsor than to have a mentor. Now, let me define sponsor. A sponsor is not someone who gives you money, right? Because when people hear sponsor, they think maybe it's financial. Somebody will come and sponsors your life. No. A sponsor is usually somebody quite senior in the organization who is looking for a protege with the most potential, right? Typically, they are familiar with your work. They know the kind of work, the quality of work that you produce. They help to get employees noticed. They create opportunities for people to progress in an organization. They speak on your behalf when you are not there. So remember, imagine that closed room with all the senior management in the organization, and they are trying to make a decision as to who will get the next promotion and who will not. If your sponsor is in that room, your sponsor is talking about your work, right?
Hmm.
So that's what I mean by a sponsor. How do you get a sponsor? Sponsors are not walking up and down the corridors looking for Tosi and June to say, oh yeah, come and be my protege. It is you that I will promote next. No, it doesn't work like that. First of all, you have an impressive performance record. If your performance record is less than impressive, no manager is going to come and put their neck outside talking about your work, because first of all, it puts also a tarnish on their own reputation. So you have to have stellar credentials on performance, right? Then you put yourself out there in the spotlight. When they say, who is there who can do this one? Your hand is up. When they say, who can help us with this project? Your hand is up, right? So you are always out there. You are in the spotlight. You make yourself available. Maybe you know a few things about the manager that you can help them with one thing or the other. And then people notice you because you're adding value to the organization. And then a sponsor can take you under their wing as a protege and then and sponsor you. such that when you're not there and they're speaking about who is the next young kid on the block that we need to accelerate the person's progress, your name will be on that table. So what I always say to people, as you climb the ladder and you get to the top there, remember to look back and pick a protege and be a sponsor as well.
Am I still in this word? Are all these things you've been saying, do they actually happen in this world? Sometimes
Absolutely.
they happen in this world that we live in. Wow.
Yes.
Okay, maybe
Yes.
I've been living in a different world and I'm really learning. In fact, the topic since last week Sunday is been, like somebody said, is serious eye-opener. Eye-opener. Somebody typed it there, and indeed serious eye-opener. And like I said, it's too inspiring. I don't know, it is too inspiring. And this is just free for anyone who cares to come and watch. They can do they can watch, I don't know, just go to YouTube or go to Facebook. Is there, please? Because I'm just wondering. Let me ask the next question.
If the audience can think back to some of the organizations that they've been in, they will recognize it. All of a sudden, you see some person is climbing up and you are sitting in one spot. You're wondering, what is going on? What am I not doing right? That person has been picked on by a sponsor. And that person is now showing his skills and is being promoted as a protege because the person has demonstrated that they can add value to the organization. So look out and get yourself sponsors, because you are never in that room when they are talking about those things. So get yourself a sponsor so that somebody can speak on your behalf.
Don't worry, I'm going to watch this again. And I will start teaching people about it too, that this is what Mrs. Obed said. And which it makes sense, because I'm getting a lot of things from what you've said today and last week, sincerely. It's too inspiring, it's too loaded for somebody to just push it aside or to just let it go the way it is. And it's coming free. So why won't I make use of what is coming to me free? I didn't pay for it. Well, they say that what you don't pay for sometimes you don't value, but I value this a lot, and that's the truth. Now let me ask the question that somebody puts up here before I will ask you our own last question. The question says, looking at the future of work, what skills should be the focus?
If you ask anybody today, they will say tech, anything tech, because tech drives our world today, right? In any industry, go to medicine is technology, go to consulting is technology, go to manufacturing is technology, right? So I would say adopt the STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering, and math. If you're not there already, that's where you should be, because the future of our world tomorrow is honestly technology.
So what will now happen to other fields?
The other fields will exist. They'll just be driven by technology. They'll just be driven by technology. They'll just be driven by technology.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ma. Now, on the final note, our last question, what's advice? Because everything you'll be saying really is all about advising us, do this, do that, do this, do that. But on a final note now, what advice would you like to give to people, especially youth? What advice do you think you would like to give?
Okay. That's a huge one. Where do I start? Now, I will just summarize to say the establishment period can be daunting. It can be daunting. And the reason is because a lot happens in that first 5-6 years of your professional life. It's also the same period where you're also coping with life itself. That's when you're probably picking a partner. That's when you're probably getting children. That's when you're probably making some very important decisions, maybe buying a property or things. So it's a very stressful period, and at the same time, you are supposed to be laying the grand foundation for for this career that you're going to build over the next 30 years. That's why it's called the establishment period, because once you establish yourself in this period, then easy breezy, as they say it, will be the rest, right? So let the, I don't want to say trauma, let the challenge of being in this period not daunt you, right? Not daunt you. It takes going through the establishment period to be established. So enjoy it, is what I would say.
It takes true. Say it again.
It takes going through the establishment period to be established.
Okay, it takes through going through the establishment period to be established. So enjoy it. That was what I said.
Yes.
So you should enjoy it. Enjoy the period. Wow. Thank you so much, ma. Thank you. I really don't know what to say. I'm saying thank you. Sincerely, I am saying thank you so much. Thank you so much for obliging us. We begged you last week to please come back again this Sunday, and indeed you honored us. It's a big one, which we don't like taking for granted. I'm saying thank you, and to all our viewers, I'm saying thank you to all of you too. So, well, okay, let me quickly read out this before I call it a date finally. How would you advise someone to acquire a sponsor? The best approach to doing this aside the work skills or competence. Did you hear that?
Yes. How do you get a sponsor? So work extremely hard. Work extremely hard. Be a good performing employee to start. That is just the basis, the foundation, right? And then volunteer for any projects around your organization. There's always plenty of work around an organization. There are always things happening, right? An event that we want to run and nobody volunteers for it. Some newcomer and we need somebody to be a buddy to a new person that is joining the employee. There are always things happening in organizations, things that need to be done. Or if there isn't, then create one. Find a problem that is happening in your organization and be the one to say, hang on a minute, this is happening. How can we work towards changing it? And make a proposal to management that I think I can try to solve these problems. Organizations have plenty of problems. Make an attempt to try and solve them. Once you are seen to be trying to contribute, to try to add value outside your normal spheres work, right? You will catch the eye of somebody who will decide, "Ooh, that person, that boy, that girl is one to watch out for." And that's how you make a sponsor.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm sure we are getting something from what you just said now. And thank you to the person who asked the question too. Thank you. I appreciate everyone for coming online this evening. To all our viewers, yes, to all our viewers, I'm saying thank you to all of you. Mrs. Owen has a way of laughing anytime I talk. I don't know why. Anyway, maybe that's the reason why she doesn't want to be my mentor. I must be my mentor. You must be my mentor, really. You must be. I'm on you now. I'm on you. Yes, you must be my mentor. Like I said to all our viewers, I'm saying thank you. God bless you all. And to my special guest today, in person of Mrs. Joan Bell. I don't know, she has a way of pronouncing her name. She doesn't say Joan, like the way we pronounce it. Because I have somebody that's my place of work, really. We call her Joan. The way we call it in Nigeria. She will say, my name is not Joan, my name is Joan. I'm like, oh, okay.
Right. So I always say to people that if you call me Joan, I won't answer you. You will just fight.
Then you've been answering me, really. Then you'll be answering me. Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Joan. I appreciate you for coming online today, and thank you for accepting to be my is it my sponsor?
Your guest.
No, not guest. You're going to be my sponsor, my whatever, my mentor. For accepting to be my mentor. Yes, thank you so much. And this is why we're calling it a date on today's program. It's been wonderful. It's been very inspiring. But we meet again next Sunday. I remain my humble self. I'm your loyal friend. Until next week, say bye and bye for now. Bye. She's showing her pretty
Bye.
face again. Bye. Bye, everybody. Bye.